So the situation with R.A. the Rugged Man, he was never signed to Eastern Conference, right? He was just affiliated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was just someone we were cool with, for sure.
Was there a reason why he never signed?
Yeah, because he was in his own insane world. He never would sign.
What do you mean he in his own insane world?
Well, he was definitely back then. He was, independent. Remember, he didn't have an album out. Remember, I guess everyone was waiting for him to do an album, and he just was kind of in his own world. I don't think he wanted to do it. And sometimes the individual little times we interacted with him, I don't know if it was the best fit.
Got you.
For a long term and lot. But he knew, people knew, if people had albums and stuff, they could always talk to us, and we would, we always loved our peers and putting shit out. So,
he was pretty hard to work with back then, but also brilliant at the same time. So that was kind of the theme back then with a lot of the artists. Ian and I were almost too normal, I want to say. It's that was part of the thing back then. This dude is amazing to work with, but he took our video and held it hostage.
Right.
R.A. did that?
Yeah.
What video was that?
Bottom Feeders?
The Bottom Feeders, the one that he did.
Oh, right. Okay.
You ever seen that video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Okay. So, because when you look at the older interviews of him, he says you and him never liked each other. You, Milo, and him never liked each other, and it was just about money. So, was there something that happened in particular that started the problems, or just from the beginning it was just known that this is just business and we're not going to get along?
Well, that's not true. I mean, we did get along for a lot of time. You don't record 5, 6, 7 songs with someone if you don't continually come to their apartment if you don't get along. So that's not true that we never didn't get along. But when the whole
recently, go ahead, sorry.
No, when the whole Smut Peddlers thing happened, it was impossible to ignore that there was something happening. So we just dealt with it, and feel like the songs we made with him were good, and I'm not trying to badmouth him at all. And then he apologized to me on Twitter a couple of years ago, a public thing. And that meant something, and I replied and I said, you're one of the best to ever do it, and thanks for that. It was a pleasure to work with you. Because that's honestly how I feel. I don't have any animosity or continue. Necro just did a recent thing about me. I didn't even watch it. I have no interest.
Well, I wasn't going to ask you about that, but anyway, so because I was asked not to ask you about that from Copy. Copy told me not to ask you about that.
Really?
Yeah, but anyway, so well, let's finish this thought first. So with R.A. though, did you guys have a conversation after the public apology though?
No.
But wouldn't that be dope to work together again though? Are you open to that?
I guess so. I mean, we just put out Sound to Market with a lot of features and stuff, and now we're working with some new rappers. So we keep that theme of High and Mighty going with having new features, kind of that's how we feel about Sound to Market. It was kind of the dudes who we grew up on idolizing, the Chill Rob G's this time, right, instead of our peers per se, which were what the old albums were about. These ones were all our bucket list guys.
When you look at a situation with R.A., is it easy for you to have empathy to understand that he was going through a tough time during that time in those early years where he was working with you guys because he believed that he was blackballed, he didn't have any money, and he was going through sometimes people project their own issues onto other people, right?
Well, yeah, but that was definitely ironic that we had the amount of beef we did, because we were always very fair with artists and always paid them right up front, like never owed money to anyone. So that was another thing RA probably liked about working on us. When he came to my apartment, he knew that he was going to be paid on the spot. There was no waiting for your money or anything like that. We had 50-50 deals with the artists that were signed to Eastern Conference. That's still like an unknown, the only people to have that kind of deal. And we're still paying royalties and accounting to Tame's mom and to everyone. So I just feel like it was so ironic that we had this reputation for being like shady or whatever it was. Like our first relationship with Ill Advised and those guys ended like that. And it's unfortunate because we've always made sure to be like fair with artists.
Yeah, because, that was one thing that I was confused by too. And I think other fans were as well, because of his interview back in like 2004 with MV Remix. He made it seem like it was a thing when he addressed the situation that Copy was potentially having a deal with Jay-Z, right? And he said that, well, would you rather work with Jay-Z or not get paid by Milo? Milo doesn't pay people and stuff like that. So it was made about money. But from what you're saying is that you guys always paid up front like that. So that was the incentive.
Oh, it's
Maybe. I mean, ask Copy right now if we were ever unfair with him. We've given him back his album many times. Like, I think Copy would say that we're very fair. That was just a way to divorce yourself from somebody back then. So Copy felt like he was about to go with Jay-Z. So what do? You shit on the label that you're currently on, because that was what we did with Raucous. We felt like we had to have this aggressive last meeting with them, but we both wanted to go our separate ways. It's just how you split back then in hip hop.
Yeah. Right. And I'm not saying that Copy said that. I'm saying that that's what RA was talking about in that interview. He was reacting to the rumors that Copy was going to sign with Jay or Rockefeller or some sort.
Yeah, he had no idea. Yeah, he doesn't. And even recently, he said, "I don't even know what I was mad about." Like, so that's some RA shit, dude. That's just
what
RA.
The public apology is about, is thinking over the last decade and going, why did I hate those guys? I actually didn't, man.
There isn't a reason.
So that feels kind of good.
Yeah, like when you look at every interview he's spoken about you guys, it was very like passionate in that way of like, I would never sign with those guys. I hated those guys. You know what I mean? But to your point though, Copy told me himself that when he had issues with you guys, it was his own fault. He said that those guys did nothing but try to look out for me. I was on some bullshit. And, they really didn't do anything wrong to me as far as they looked out for me money wise and everything. Like, and I think that was a matured perspective that Copy had gotten, right? But like you said, that there's a time where a lot of times the artist is looking at somebody's got to be responsible.
Yeah, you always think that you're going to be bigger than you are unless you are. And that's just the rare people. And you're always going to be mad at the people who are paying you. And you always deserve more, or you deserve something different. It's just everyone has it. Everyone.
All right, Milo, do you want to talk about the Necro thing or no?
Not really. There's no new information to...
Okay, no problem. Yeah. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable.
No, I don't feel uncomfortable. There's just nothing new to unfold from it.
Yeah.